Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's start with our new Aeon topic today, which is a freedom at work, and let's see what this topic about. It's about there is always a demand for more jobs, but what makes a good job? For that, Amul Khan has an answer. So it is written by the Tylee Ree, and he is a PhD student in philosophy at University of Pennsylvania. His research is on philosophy of labor and German idealism. So let's see what this passage holds. Start with the first passage of this essay. Work is no longer working for us, or for most of us anyway. Citing lack of pay and promotion, more people are quitting their jobs now and then at any time in the past 20 years. This is no surprise considering that the real wages, the average hourly rate adjusted for inflation, for non-managers just 3 years ago as the same as it was the early 1970s. At the same time, the increasing prominence of the gig work has turned work from a steady climb of the ladder into a precarious hustle. So basically, this passage is talking about the condition of the job market nowadays and in late 90s. So the title of this passage is the condition of the job market now and earlier. So what we can take from here is now the condition. What the now condition right now is that there is a citing a lack of pay promotions and more people are quitting their job now than in past 20 years. That's the condition right now. And and another point here is that the real based wages, the average hourly rate adjusted for inflation for non-managers is same as it's in 1970s, means the calculation of wages is still same for the non-managers, means the worker at the lower hierarchy is still the same. That's why the people are trying to switch their jobs and quit their jobs frequently, because of the increasing prominence of gig work has turned work from steady climb of the ladder into the precarious hustles. Now the peoples are hustling instead of enjoying their work. So let's moving towards the next phases. Of the growing number of peoples working through apps like Uber and TaskRabbit, nearly 70% of them say that they do so on the side, supplementing a main income that is too low to produce for life necessities. Even a young and upward mobile professionals must change jobs rather than stay in them in order to grow in their careers. Almost perceivably, the loss of stable career is branded as a benefit. Sarah Ellis and Helen Tupper, both careers consultants, argue that we ought to embrace this squiggly career as a new or more flexible norms. So the title of this passage is flexible norm. What is a flexible norm right now nowadays? Is that in order to grow, in order to grow their career, people are frequently changing their jobs. That we can say. And another one is that this loss of stable career is branded as a benefit. That's why Sarah and Helen consider it a flexible norm. People are not interested in working in an branded stable jobs, but they want to take a more risk and the job which are more creative and which enhance their career. People are more interested in them nowadays than is any stable jobs. So let's see what this mini passes hold for us. Politicians claim that the solution of our work problems is more jobs. But simply increasing the number of bad jobs won't help us avoid the problems of work. What we need, it seems, is not more work, but good work. But what exactly a good work? So this basis is actually just question. Nowadays, politicians sees that because of there is lots of the rate of the unemployment, politicians sees that there is need to generate more jobs for the people. But that's not true. People are not just there is definitely not there is not a lack of jobs, but the lack of good quality jobs. That's the author is trying to say that we are seeking a good jobs, not a lack of any bad jobs. In the name of jobs, they are just giving us any bad kind of jobs. But what the actual definition of good job? What is good job? So let's see what's another passage we will find the answer here maybe. So let's read it. The United States Department of Labor identifies a good job as one with a fair hiring practices, comprehensive benefits, formal quality of opportunity, good security or job security, and a culture in which workers are valued. In a similar UK report on the modern labour market called Good Work 2017, Matthew Taylor and his colleagues emphasized workplace rights and fair treatment, opportunity for promotion, and good reward scheme. Finally, the UN's Universal Declaration of the Human Rights has two sections on work. They cite the free choice of employment and organizations, fair and equal pay, and sufficient leisure time as a right of workers. So this basis is basically a criteria or definition set by the three governing bodies. That the first one is US State Department of Labor, and the second one is UK's modern labor market, and the third one is UN Universals. UN. So the title of this passage is definition of a good job by different departments. The first in UK, US, what we can take here is that what is their definition of good job is that one with a fair hiring practices, comprehensive benefits, formal quality of opportunity, and a job security and a culture in which workers are valued. It's their definition of a good job. And what's the UK modern labor definition is? Workplace rights and fair treatment, opportunity for promotion, and a good reward schemes is their definition for the good job. And what's UN's? It's the free choice of employment and organizations and fair and equal paths and sufficient leisure time as a right of worker is their definitions. So let's moving toward the another one. What all three of these accounts have in common is that they focus on the features of jobs, the agreement you make with your boss to perform labor, rather than on the labor itself. The fairness of your boss, the length of your contract, the growth of your career, this specific nothing about the quality of the labor you perform. And yet, it is the labor itself that we spend all day doing. The most tedious and unpleasant work could still pay a high salary, but we might not want to call such work good. On a brief mention is made in the Taylor's report, which total more than 100 pages, of the idea that workers ought to have some autonomy in how they perform their job, or that work ought not to be tedious and repetitive. This is not to say that the extrinsic aspects of work like pay and benefits are unimportant. Of course, a good job is one that pay enough, but what about work intrinsic goods? Is there anything about the process of working itself that we ought to include in our list of criteria? Or should we all be contented with a life of high paying drudgery? So this passage is talking about uh, what about the work process, labor process? Everyone is talking about you should be give this much high pay jobs with some reputations. You need to have a laser times, but nobody is talking about what the process of labor means. You really enjoy that, not to be that exhausted. So that's the title of this passage is the process of work. So let's see what it says, that the agreement you make with your boss to perform labor rather than labor itself. That we can take because why? Because the most tedious and unpleasant work could still pay a high salary, but we might not want to call it work good, because the process is also important. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, but you're getting paid too much, but that is blood sucking job, it definitely not call it as a good job, your good work. So what the author is trying to say, that your process of work is also very important, this defining what is a good work. So that's all, and other we just an example. We can't take anything from that. So let's moving toward the another series of the species. Kant defines art as a particular kind of skill labor. So let's see what this first passage hold for this series. Philosophers trying to answer this question by giving a definition of work, since definition tell us what is essential or intrinsic to a thing. A definition of work would tell us whether there is anything intrinsic to work that we want our good job to promote. The most common definition of work in Western thought, found in nearly every period with recorded writing on the subject, is that the work is inherently disagreeable and instrumentally valuable. It is disagreeable because it is an expenditure of energy, and it is instrumentally valuable because we care only about the product or labor, not the process of laboring itself. On this view, work has little to recommend it. We would do better to minimize our time spending doing it. A theory of work based on this definition, which probably says that the good job pays a lot in exchange for work's disagreeableness and are performed for a little time as possible. So here is a definition of art of skilled labor, describing by the philosopher Kant. So the title of this passage is Definition of Art of Skilled Labor. So what we can take from here is that what the actual definition is, there is anything intrinsic to work that we want our good job to promote. No, no, no. First is definition tells us what is essential or intrinsic to a thing. And another one is this also, anything intrinsic to work that we want our good job to promote. Okay, this we can take. What the Western's definition of good work is, that work is inherently disagreeable and instrumentally valuable. This is their definition that we can take, but it is not agreeable because the instrumentally valuable, because we care about the product of our labor, not the process of laboring itself. That's not we can take, because when you're just totally exhausted, you're not enjoying the process. No matter people give me how much salary, if you're not, means you're losing your health. That's all. Salary is nothing to you when you're not able to perform anything, when you don't have any energy to do anything which you love. That's not the good terms as a good job. The what is termed that better to minimize our time spending doing it. That's considered to be as a good job that we can take. Let's moving toward the next basis. But this is not the only definition of art disposal. Tucked away in two inconspicuous paragraphs of his book about beauty, The Critics of Judgment, 1790, in Immanuel Kant's definition of work. In a section called On Art in General, Kant gives a definition of art, Kunst in German, as a subset of our more general capacity for skills or craft. Note, in other words, Kant's defined art as a particular kind of skilled labor. Kant's definition of art is skilled labor with direct as intrinsic feature of work that we ought to include in our conceptions of good jobs. So what's here the Kant's actual definition of the good work? Okay, earlier we are just knowing the definition of work from the point of view of philosopher. Now what's the Kant's point of view? So Kant's definition of a good work or art of skilled labor. The title of this piece is what we can take from here is that the first one is what Kant's definition is a subset of our more general capacity of skills and craft that we can take, and another one is that labor with a direct us to intrinsic future of word that we ought to include in our concept of good job that we can take. Let's moving toward the next species, which is the second last species of this Aeon today's topic. Kant define art using his analytics method, which is a way of getting at what a thing is by distinguishing it from what it is not. His first distinctions concern the difference between the things produced by natural force on the one hand and the things produced by the human efforts on the other. Art as skilled labor is an instant for the latter. He writes, by right we should not call anything art, except a production through the creator. That is, through a power of choice that base its act on reason. For though we like to call the product that bees make, regularly constructed honeycomb, a work of art, we do so only by virtues of an analogy with art. For as soon as we recall their labor is not based on any rational deliberation on their part, we say at once that the product is product of their nature. So here the Kant is trying to explain the work of art by giving the examples, by giving the real life examples. So the skills of the art of skilled labor, the example of art of skilled labor, the title of this piece is what here the author is trying to say that there is a two concern, there is two things. The things are produced in two ways. Things are produced in two ways. The first one is by natural force and the second one is by the human efforts. That's the author is mentioning here, that his first distinction concern the difference between the things produced by natural force on one hand and the things produced by human efforts on the other hand. So this is he's trying to say that whatever the things which are produced by the natural efforts, we call it as a natural art, but when you're just deep down seeing that, that's actually not the art. The art is that where you do it freely, without any force or without any restrictions. So here by giving the example of bees, what he's trying to say that. Let's read that line again. That the product that bees make, the regularly constructed the honeycomb at work of art, we do So only to by the virtues and analogy with art, for as soon as we recall that their labor is not based on any rational deliberation on their part, we say at once that the product is a product of their nature. What he trying to say that the bees who are just constructing that honeycomb, we call it as art. But if you their nature is to doing that. But when you're seeing it in the point of view of the labor, they don't have any choice. They have to do that. It's their responsibility, it's their nature to do that. They're not just willingly to do. It's their nature. They don't have any other choice to do anything. But we people, we humans, we have choice. When we choose the things freely, when we are doing anything freely without any concern, that actually call as the skill of art, not a nature. So let's moving toward the last passage of today's video. The capacity that allows human to create art is our freedom, our power of choice. That is what distinguishes human labor, which is free from the labor of the bees, which Kant will go on to say is constrained or mechanical. What enables humans to produce freely is that they raise their object in ideal world first, as a concept or purpose is consciousness, before raising their object in real world. This is what Kant means when he says that our act, our labor, is based on reason. Bees do not have this capacity to purposive activity, which is why we do not consider that their product work of art, but merely effect of nature. For the bees, the honeycomb is a product of instinct. The bees have no choice but to produce according to the standard of it and has been given by nature. Since humans have the power of choice, we are free to produce according to any concept or standard we desire. This means that if we want, we can produce according to B's standard. A point Karl Marx will go on to make in 1844 manuscript. So this is what exactly Kant is trying to say, that we are free, we are humans, we are free to create any kind of freedom, create any kind of act. We have power of choices. Nobody just put any restriction of us in doing anything. So what he's trying to say that before you expect anything from the world, outer world, first in your conscious, first you realize what you really want for yourself and put your effort in that directions. What he really called that, because when you have no choice, when he's giving the example of bees, he says that they have no choice, but we humans have. Even we have that capability. We have choice, we have ideas, even we have capability. If we want, we can produce a bees, we can make honey according to the bees standard. So what the title of this passage is, that the freedom of humans. Freedom of humans. What we can take from here is that, then the bullet point, what we can take from here is that all the capacity that allows human to create art is our freedom, our power of choice that we can take, and to humans produce freely is that they raise their object in ideal world first as a concept of purpose in consciousness before raising their object in the real world. Firstly, you make the things in your mind first, then you approach that things in the real world. That's Kant is trying to say, that Our act and our labor is based on reasons, not on what the people's wants. That's is called a good work. First, you should realize what you really want to do. And then lastly, what we can take from here is that human has power of choice. We are free to produce according to any concept or standard we desire. It's on us what we want and how we get. It's completely honest. No organizations, nobody. Just it's depend on honest. That's what we want. With that, I'm ending this video. Hope you guys like it. So let's meet you guys tomorrow with the continuation of this case. As of now, bye bye. Have a great day.